Dzień dobry. Jesteśmy w Łodzi, a skoro Łódź o tej porze roku to dobre kino, dobra kuchnia i dobra muzyka. Oczywiście filmowa. Dziś w aktualnościach filmowych opowiemy Państwu o 8. edycji festiwalu Transatlantyk, nie tylko o kinie łóżkowym. Zapraszam.
Transatlantyk Festival został zaproszony do Łodzi 3 lata temu. Czym mnie w Łódź uwiodła? Swoją ambicją. Lubię miejsca, ludzi, które mają ambicje, aby zbudować coś nowego, aby transformować się w coś nowego. Sednem naszej filozofii, mojej osobistej, jest zbudowanie festiwalu, który działa lokalnie, ale ma globalne ambicje, czyli komunikuje się z planetą, jest wsłuchany w planetę, ale też wysyła sygnały, które są dostrzegane w ważnych miejscach. To nam się udaje.
W roku 2018 temat niepodległości, temat wolności, właściwie można by powiedzieć odmieniany jest przez przypadki tak naprawdę pod każdą szerokością geograficzną, w kontekście wielu wydarzeń.
Pojęcie wolności, które ma wiele odcieni i odmian, jest takim krytycznym pojęciem dla każdego z nas.
W związku z tym pochylamy się nad naszymi własnymi granicami wolności.
Mr. McMurphy?
Today, as you may or may not know, it doesn't matter, is the opening of the World Series. What I'd like to suggest is that we change the work detail tonight so that we can watch the ball game.
Miloš Forman o wolności w różnych odsłonach opowiadał przez cały czas w każdym swoim filmie. Genialne dziecko kina, możemy powiedzieć. Reżyser, który naprawdę ma na koncie niezliczoną, długą listę filmów uznawanych za kultowe. Wręcz trudno chyba przywołać inne nazwisko, które w ten sposób zapisałoby się w historii kina. To też twórca, który odszedł w tym roku. Nasz hołd dla wielkiego mistrza. Z drugiej strony filmy Miloša Formana można oglądać pewnie co roku i przypominać je sobie.
Ustanowiliśmy nagrodę o nazwie Local Hero Award. To jest nagroda dla tych, co działają w jakimś konkretnym miejscu, w jakiejś przestrzeni. Z reguły jest to przestrzeń definiowana jako lokalna, ale ranga ich działalności, wpływ na planetę jest na tyle duży, że można nazwać go także globalnym wpływem. Tegoroczną laureatką Local Hero Award jest niezwykła kobieta, Janina Ochojska, założycielka Polskiej Akcji Humanitarnej, która od wielu, wielu lat wspiera w wielu krajach świata miejsca, które są w tragicznym położeniu, niesie pomoc najbardziej potrzebującym, robi to konsekwentnie, z wielką mądrością i nie poddając się mimo wielu przeciwności. To jest nagroda dla nas najważniejsza, bo ona wyraża to, co jest istotą festiwalu, czyli ambicje i potrzebę służenia społeczności, w której pracujemy i oddziaływania pozytywnego na planetę.
Transatlantyk przyciąga twórców z całego świata. Tutaj staramy się rzeczywiście łączyć kino przeróżne i to zarówno bardziej artystyczne, a z drugiej strony właśnie hollywoodzkie, które jak wiemy bardzo często elektryzuje tak naprawdę miliony ludzi na całym świecie, przyciąga do kin. Przyjeżdża do nas Dan Lebental, to jest montażysta takich hollywoodzkich hitów jak Iron Man, Ant-Man, Spider-Man. Właśnie teraz zresztą pracuje nad jednym z takich filmów.
I get to keep the suit?
Of course. Doesn't fit me. But this does not mean you're an Avenger, in case you were wondering.
Oh.
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you. Oh, all right, kid.
Good luck out there.
We have Dan Lebental with us today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Hi. Let me start by asking about your relation to the festival Transatlantic, because I heard Jana Kaczmarek calling you friend of the festival. So could you explain?
Well, you know, I got invited to the festival 2 years ago to do a master class and then be on the jury, and I had such a good time that since I was shooting in London this summer, I said a few months back, I said, Jan, would you be interested in me coming back again? And he was like, yes.
I know this is not
all the things that you do in film, but let me focus now on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's the biggest part of the mainstream cinema right now. And I think starting with Iron Man in 2007, was it?
Yeah.
Did you expect that it was going to be so huge around the world?
Oh, no, no. I remember at one point asking the bosses, well, what would be considered success for us? And they came up with a number that we tripled. You know, we far exceeded their expectations as to what level would let them remain a studio. I think had we failed, nothing would have gone from there. It would have been over with.
So you started with Iron Man. You worked on Thor, also on Spider-Man and Ant-Man. So which superhero is the most challenging for you as an editor?
Wow, challenging for, well, they each present different challenges.
Yeah.
When you get a guy like Robert Downey, he was brought in, he is a magnificent actor who you don't necessarily know what's going to come out of his mouth. And the way he'll dance around the part gives a responsibility to then be able to find a way to use, you know, his brilliance.
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
And what do you say to your other nickname, the Merchant of Death?
That's not bad.
And so as an editor, you can get into a quandary because you have two magnificent things that may not marry with each other, and then you have to get very creative. So he's a gift and a challenge.
And you have Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man.
He's wonderful. Yeah, he's agile. He was so good that we had to stop using his stunt double to do things and let him do his own stunts and his own, for VFX, motion capture, which is where they wear all the sensors and it looks like pajamas and they do things that become animated. So he was so amazing and has such a dancer skill that the stunt guys didn't look as good.
Yeah, because he's a dancer and athlete. It's really a good combination for Spider-Man. Okay, so I will ask now about Ant-Man or Paul Rudd. So what's the challenge here?
What's great about Ant-Man is it's the other side of the coin from Iron Man. He is a self-effacing hero, whereas Tony Stark is this this flamboyant, you know, playboy type. This guy is just this guy who is an everyman.
Welcome to Baskin Robbins. Would you like to try our mango fruit blast?
No thanks. I'll have a burger, please.
Oh, we don't make that.
Pretzel, hot pretzel, like mustard. You have mustard dip?
It's ice cream. Baskin Robbins.
I'll just do like whatever's hot and fresh.
David.
The challenge of this, but it's generally the challenge of movies, is to find the tone that both suits the character and the movie, which is to say, in that movie, it's a light feel, it's an earnest feel, and the actors, because they're very good, but they don't necessarily know where we're going to go, will give you ranges. So as an editor, what you have to do is come out with a consistency that makes it all feel of one and the same. And that's just an editor doing their job, because the actor's doing their job by giving us various choices to work with.
Are you present on set from the beginning?
So I'm usually present from the day they start shooting, if not before. If we have to plan action sequences, we'll do animations of those things, and sometimes I'm asked to do that. But more often, I'll start the day they start shooting, and I'll cut scenes shortly after they're shot in order to tell if they're working, if there's any other issues, if we need anything else, or as mundane as can we wrap the sets, which are very expensive to keep up.
This also can be strange because this is a special kind of production that needs so much post-production, right, with the special effects and computer effects, and you're working on a green screen very often in this kind of production, right?
Yeah, so lots of things are shot, green screens, maybe the acting, but then there are backgrounds that are real, and there are other parts that are combined to make one frame. Sometimes we have 10 or more things that are actually different images combined to make a frame. I call that intra-frame editing. So in the end, I'm of the classic Hollywood type, which is most of my editing, unless it's something that's very conscious, I try to make invisible to the audience. I try to let the story just unfold and for people to not feel like they're seeing editing, they just see a story.
Why do you think, why is it such a huge success of Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, I kind of feel it starts at the top of Marvel, which is Kevin Feige, who runs the show, and the decision that each movie will not be the same as the other. They all try to fit different. A lot of them, what they do is it's a hybrid of combining, you know, the comic book thing with a genre. So you might have a Winter Soldier, which is a thriller, you know, or you might have a Thor Ragnarok, which is much more akin to a straight-up comedy. In mashing them up and giving each individual one, not even just the series, but each individual one its own trait, it makes people not get bored, in fact, be very fascinated to where it's going with it all. But, you know, of course, I'm like, how do we keep going? Because it gets more and more complicated with each added story, because it all has to somehow relate to each other. So I'll be very keen to see how Kevin pulls it off.
Thank you so much, Dan, for this conversation, for your
welcome.
time. Thank you.
Wyjątkowym konkursem jest konkurs natychmiastowej kompozycji, który się po angielsku nazywa Instant Composition Contest. To jest konkurencja, która polega na tym, że młodzi kompozytorzy grający na fortepianie po obejrzeniu filmu mniej więcej 5-minutowego natychmiast przechodzą do dużej sali, gdzie jest ekran, publiczność i jury i muszą stworzyć utwór. W pewnym sensie improwizując, ale to jest improwizacja połączona z obrazem. To musi być taki akt właściwie kompozycji, tyle że natychmiastowy, bezrefleksyjny, oparty na instynkcie, intuicji, wrażliwości. Zdolność spontanicznego reagowania jest bezcenna, bo ona też prowadzi do tych tajemniczych połączeń, których czasami racjonalnie nie wymyślimy, a w tym odruchu takiego olśnienia znajdujemy tę wyjątkową drogę i wtedy mówimy, że muzyka w filmie ma wyjątkowe połączenie z filmem i ma wyjątkowy wpływ na film.
Muzyka na festiwalu Transatlantyk rzeczywiście jest takim nieodłącznym elementem i myślę, że nigdy nie zdarzy się taka sytuacja, żeby tu jej zabrakło, a wręcz bardzo mnie cieszy, że wielu kojarzy nasz festiwal z tą właśnie bardzo specjalną obecnością muzyki.
W tym roku, na jeden rok, ze względu też na to, że obchodzimy stulecie niepodległości, ogłosiliśmy taki światowy, innego rodzaju konkurs, kiedy nasz wewnętrzny komitet daje własny paszport, wybiera 2 laureatów, jednego w kategorii najlepsza muzyka roku i w tym roku laureatem jest Dario Marianelli, włoski kompozytor zamieszkały w Londynie, który jest laureatem Oscara i otrzymuje tę nagrodę za muzykę do filmu The Darkest Hour.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender!
Drugim laureatem w kategorii najlepszy młody polski kompozytor roku jest Radzimir Dębski. Ta nagroda z kolei jest pieniężna, ona jest ufundowana przez ZAIX.
Sally Potter jest też autorką, nieraz współautorką muzyki do części swoich filmów. Przygotowaliśmy retrospektywę filmów tej niezwykłej reżyserki z Wielkiej Brytanii. Jest to jedna z najodważniejszych, uważam, reżyserek współczesnych. Twórca, który każdym swoim filmem udowadnia, że granice w kinie nie istnieją.
April. Congratulations.
Wonderful, wonderful news.
We're going to be a family. Oh, wow. I have never seen that happen before.
Sally Potter jest naszym gościem dzisiaj. Hello, welcome to the program. Let me start with a quotation from an interview with you, and it was concerning the tango lesson. And you said when you were learning tango, it was like a form of adoration. And then you said, this is the same with filmmaking for you, that you fall in love with every subject, whatever it is. Yeah. And I think that's the correct word that you used. you cannot contain yourself.
Yeah.
So is it still like that after all these years?
It absolutely is. If anything, it's stronger, actually, because I've learnt to accept this level of passion and of surrender to the subject and to the medium and to the form and to celebrate it in myself and in others, of course. And I recognise it now if I see it in young filmmakers who want to go there but they're not sure if it's okay to love what they do so much. But I think you have to, because it's a very hard medium, it's a big medium, and it takes great stamina. You know, you don't make a film in a week. You might shoot it in a week, possibly. But
or in 2 weeks, forgive me
in
to
2 weeks,
interrupt.
like,
Yeah,
the party.
like the party.
But those 2 weeks followed many weeks of preparation and 2 years of writing. So it's a consequence, let's say, that kind of speed at that moment is a sprint in the middle of a marathon. Basically, filmmaking is a marathon. So to sustain yourself and to keep yourself really interested in the subject, you have to be in love with it.
Let me ask you about the marathon that ended with Orlando.
Yeah.
Because I was going through the archive on your website yesterday in the evening, and I found the very first note that is in the archive for Orlando, and it's dated 1980.
Yes.
So it started then, before the Gold Diggers.
Yes.
What was the first idea? It's the film that is very important for many people. So
well, the story comes out differently every time, because I remember it differently also.
Yeah.
The Orlando story started for me when I read the book when I was a teenager. I think probably about 13 or 14 when I read it for the first time. And I remember this feeling that I could see it in my mind. I mean, every book, when you read it, to some extent you visualize it, but Orlando was a very, very, very visual book. When I came later to read Virginia Woolf's diaries, she said that her goal was to exteriorize consciousness. So it's like taking the mind and somehow putting its complexity out there. And that's how I understood it. And so really very young, I think, I felt that maybe I could film it or take some images from it or make an opera out of it or, you know, do something with it. And then that became clear after a while that what I wanted to do with it was make a film. But nobody agreed with me that this was a good idea. I was completely alone on that. People said, you know what, it's impossible to make a film of this book. It's a great classic, everyone will hate it, whatever you do, it will be a disappointment, and it's simply technically not possible. Because you have to have a frozen river, you have to have a desert, and you have to have somebody playing Orlando, you know. So that was the challenge. But bit by bit, I wore them down and got there in the end.
Yeah, so the one who played Orlando, Tilda Swinton,
Yeah.
it was like 5 years before you started shooting.
Before we shot, yes. I'd already been working on it for quite a few years. And when I approached her and asked her if she would like to play this role, and she said, we had tea together. And she said, yes. So I thought, well, maybe we'll be shooting in 6 months, you know. I didn't know it would be a 5-year journey, and in that time I wrote so many drafts of the script. It's really how I learned script writing, actually.
When you were talking about your book, Cinema, Naked Cinema, and it's about your working with actors, where I'm aiming is to ask you of your method of working with actors, because it seems like it's very deep connection each time.
Well, it goes back to the first question you asked me, really, about this kind of adoration, you know. I think that as a director, you need to fall in love with the people you work with, on both sides of the camera, actually. Because when you fall in love with people, not romantically, you basically see the best in people. You see what they can become. You see their potential. You see their genius. You see their capacity. You don't focus on their problems, on the things which aren't so good, or their limitations. So as a director, if you focus on the best in somebody, gradually all the obstacles and the less good things will fall away, because every actor wants to do the best performance of their life. You know, they want to do what they could possibly do. So I think as a director, you approach them with that level of respect for the form, for the job, for them, for the work we're doing together. that becomes possible, and it creates a feeling of extreme intimacy of a professional kind. You don't necessarily become best friends, but you become extraordinarily close in the process, and I found that happens virtually every time that I work with actors. And the better they are, the more it happens. It's, for me, a very, very joyful part of the process. It involves kindness also, being open to people doing things badly, making mistakes. I'm always very welcoming about that, you know, never critical about people taking risks. Because, for example, when you're in the cutting room afterwards, you might look at 10 takes of a scene with one particular actor who you were really pushing in a direction. 9 of the takes can be really bad. You only need one good one. And if all those failures or risks, however you like to talk about it, finally create this moment of just pure genius, that's perfect.
The director of the festival is a composer.
Yes.
So let's talk about music, which is a subject close to your heart also.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of the music when you're writing, or it's, for example, the songs that the character played by Timothy Spall plays in the party?
Yeah.
Were they written in the script? Or?
Some of them were in the script already, yeah. I had a very, very strong idea about what they might be. Of course, the idea is that this is his record collection, and so therefore this is the soundtrack to his life, or perhaps to the life he wished he had, you know, but doesn't actually have. Like music often has that function for people. It's in a way their kind of secret life, or their longings. And then some of the music I chose at the very last minute, just before shooting, because I needed to be able to play it to the actors so they knew what they would be happening on the soundtrack, what would be there, and then some tracks I added in the cutting room later on, so it was a mixture. But I always knew that I wanted to have a music track that was only Bill's music, you know, no score, so to speak, but that his music would function like a score, but it would also be very much coming out of the environment, not somewhere from behind the camera.
So what would be the soundtrack of your life?
Oh, my life. Well, actually, a lot of the tracks that I used for his are from my record collection. They're pieces of music that I really like. I have a very, very eclectic musical taste, from Bach and classical music. I play the piano, to Romanian gypsy music, to Cuban music, to jazz. All music is good music as far as I'm concerned, because it's all, if it's full of life and skill and rhythm, so it's important. So I think it's very interesting that this festival brings together music and cinema in a more conscious way, elevates the function of music in cinema.
With the party, you came back to black and white, which is for the tango lesson, and before for your short films.
Yes.
So what do you get as a director, as a filmmaker, from black and white?
More colour. Because it's got emotional colour in it, without literal, supposedly realistic colour. It's much more, I think, how we experience colour emotionally, in terms of light and dark, intensity, illumination, shadow, and so on. Digital colour, film colour, and so on, tends to give equal importance to all colours. So as an art director, you need to take colours away. I did that a lot in Orlando, for example. All the sequences on the ice in Orlando were like silver, blue, white, black. So I had to take everything green away, you know, and so on. Black and white takes you into a different realm, where the brain translates this abstract sort of drawing, in a way, of light and shade, and turns it into recognizable reality. So we're already working with magic in the brain. Plus, of course, the whole of classical cinema is a black and white world, and often beautifully photographed and quite extraordinary. So for me, it's a very, very rich medium to work with, black and white.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dokładnie 17 lipca 1968 roku miała miejsce światowa premiera Żółtej Łodzi Podwodnej. Dokładnie 50 lat później tutaj w Łodzi będziemy świętować właściwie 50. urodziny Żółtej Łodzi Podwodnej. Razem z nami Piotr Mec, który jest wielkim fanem filmu. Sam o sobie mówi, że jest psychofanem. Andrzej Barański jest jednym z najważniejszych reżyserów polskiego kina. Każdym swoim filmem udowadnia, że potrafi iść swoją drogą i być szalenie konsekwentny w tym, jak buduje swoje kino.
Pokazywała mi swoje drzeworyty. Takie realistyczne robi. Ale zawsze już w ramkach.
Zawsze wie się, że ona czegoś chce do szaleństwa.
Dwa księżyce. Film kręcony był w Kazimierzu. Zagrało tam ponad 100 absolutnie świetnych aktorów polskich, w tym mniej więcej 40 w rolach głównych. I właściwie nie wiadomo było, co się tam wydarza. Ci, którzy się nie znaleźli w obsadzie, dzwonili do reżysera i mówili, że tam podobno jakaś impreza, no coś się niezwykłego dzieje, dlaczego mnie tam nie ma. I rzeczywiście ma się takie poczucie, że to doskonały portret kina polskiego w pewnym momencie.
Ta suknia. Jaskrawa i gładka. Ma na imię Plaisir.
Mistrz portretowania w naprawdę niezwykły, piękny, czuły sposób postaci, które na pierwszy rzut oka są zbyt zwyczajne. Wspaniała kobieta z prowincji z doskonałą Ewą Dołkowską w roli głównej.
No i co? Chciałby pan mieć żonę, co pana nie kocha?
To mnie pani pokocha. Ja będę bardzo dobry.
Nie, ale ja nie chcę. Nie chodzimy ze sobą wcale. I niech pan mamie nic nie mówi.
Andrzej Barański ma też kilka naprawdę niezwykłych cech, których żaden twórca właściwie nie powtórzy po Andrzeju Barańskim w swoich dziełach.
Czyżby to był ten... No tak, ten szemrzący. Miało się tą wyobraźnię, co?
Coś niezwykłego udało się zrobić Andrzejowi Barańskiemu nad rzeką, której nie ma. Z jednej strony możemy mówić piękny film o młodości, hołd młodości. Z drugiej strony taki portret nas, którzy mamy tak dużo w naszych wnętrzach i nie zawsze potrafimy to pokazać, a w tym filmie właśnie nagle się okazuje, że to można nazwać, to można zobaczyć. Tego można w jakiś sposób nawet w kinie Andrzeja Barańskiego dotknąć.
Festiwal Transatlantyk to uczta dla wszystkich zmysłów, ale tegoroczna już zakończona. A na kolejne festiwalowe spotkanie w aktualnościach filmowych zapraszamy do Wrocławia, na Nowe Horyzonty. Do zobaczenia.